ɗari da tsarewa mu musulmi ne. Mu ba mun kiristoci ba ne. Kana jin kirista za mu zaɓa ya zama to mana shugabanmu?
The house of the reverend, but nobody has shot anything. And you are asking us to go in. What are we going to do? Are we to be killed?
Daga baya sai ɗaya ya ce, ai ba su gama mutu a sa petrol. Sai na ce,
The pain and agony of those who for no reason but their religion suffered in the hands of the Muslims from Maiduguri to Gombe, Bauchi to Plateau State, among several others. These are the pictures and tales of war that has befallen Christendom.
I think the crisis is religious. To my understanding, is an Islamic program that is meant to destroy Christians and their churches. They destroyed about 11 churches and they killed so many of our people, about 15 people.
Tun da Shehu Usman dan Hodiyo yaki ne, ai ya ba su takobi. Cewa sai an kai kurmi. Ina ne kurmi? Har ƙasar Inyamurai. Sai an kai shi duk an mai da wurare musulunci. Shine alama wannan takobi da suke rikewa. Cewa Shehu Usman dan Hodiyo ba sai sun kai musulunci a can. So kuma in ba a yi da yaki ba, za a yi da aure. In ba a yi da aure ba, za a yi da neman kuɗi. A ga cewa lalle a musuluntar da area din.
Today, the persecution of the church is more diabolical, particularly in northern Nigeria, and leaves no one in doubt it can lead to the total annihilation of the church and Christianity. This is evident in the way Muslims conduct themselves, which is indicative of disloyalty, religious intolerance, and deliberate betrayal to Nigeria's unity by their total disregard for the Constitution. Their targets mostly are the Christian establishments, and their chosen days of mayhem is always Friday, which is a holy day for the Muslims, who are the planners and executors of these unholy acts. These tendencies, which is also backed by authorities who are sentimental in their approach to religious matters, have caused untold hardship to Christians living in Nigeria. These hardships include refusal of rights of occupancy to land in Muslim states, demolition and total destruction of any Christian edifice at the slightest opportunity, denial of rights to places of worship to Christians in public schools and institutions.
They will tell you they don't give CO4 to churches. Okay. All these lands we are getting now, we buy from the owners and take the risk of the land. Okay. There are plots that we have paid 2 or 3 times here. Eventually you will discover there is no proper CO4. They just bought it. And mostly after we've done this, we try to get lawyers to go and get it changed, get this lease something, so that is the only document. And even that one, before you can get that thing done, all the locations, all the government quarters, they have a space in the center like a community's land, but it ends up into being mosques and then shops or Islamia schools. Each of the estates there is a school and a mosque out of poverty alleviation funds.
The first land that was acquired by the fellowship, I discovered that when the Sokoto State Urban Development Agency discovered that that land was going under a development to be made as a place of worship, they actually revoked the license and any other document for that land, and they bulldozed the structure that was in the ground. So everything was collected from our hands and nothing was done about it. All attempts to report our case to the higher authority to no avail. So that was how we lost that particular piece of land.
We presented our complaint as indigenous Christians in Yobe State. Yes, now, look for example, all this list is a list of civil servants, top government civil servants who deserve to be promoted, but they are not.
In our school, we are forced to attend IRK lectures. We are forced to do it. We are forced to wear all this their hijab. Even they have, if they bring their malams to come and do some lectures, we are forced to go inside and listen. Whether we like it or not, we must go inside and listen. It is better for me not to get the admission than to join Islamic. They started lowering their voice that I should just tell them now that if I want to become a Muslim, they will give me admission now. I told them, I said, no, I did not have that interest. We were two, I and one of my sister. We were two that went there. Among all the Christians that filled the form, none of us got admission.
There was a time we normally had prayers in the hospital premises in which we applied. But even after applying, they insisted that we should stop praying because we are disturbing them. We asked them, don't they pray in their mosques? And they say they do. So we told them that if they do, we too we need to continue, we need to pray also, since we don't disturb any other person. So they refused. Later on, they reported the case to admin block. So our officials were being called and they told them to stop praying.
However, in the face of all these persecutions, is the church united in its response?
That there will be unity amongst our leaders, I mean community leaders and religious leaders, because with this crisis we can see that there is a lot of disunity because people are not very willing to speak out and comment because of fear of intimidation maybe by the government. So we also pray that our leaders will have courage to speak out and say what is there.
Bisa ga koyarwa Bible ne ba ma son tashi hankali, amma wani lokaci za ga abun yana son ya hada tsoro wanda ba mu son a yi tashi hankali a kashe wani. So don haka sai a yi ta cuta muna ba mu yi komi ba, muna zama kawai muna kallo.
They are not always frightened as such, but they are prayerful. They know there are dangers ahead. A lot of them prepare to meet those dangers in their own way. But most of them pray. But as for the country, there's a lot of fear because nobody seems to know exactly where it is heading to.
The rights of the Christian faith in the face of these growing challenges indeed leaves much to be desired.
We are compelled now to understand the issues afresh. Number one, we are convinced beyond doubt that Plateau State, which is a gift of God to the church, is under attack by the Islamic world. And our first proof is that after the crisis, the Sultan of Sokoto issued a statement insinuating that Christians were killing Muslims, and he used the words, "my people." So we are interested to know that this is no longer just a Plateau issue. The Islamic world has an interest in the city of Jos. It was a mini colonial town. Missionaries inhabited it, and the Christian missionaries that were already in the villages around the geopolitical state of Plateau had done a great work in the rural areas. Naturally, the settlers of the state, therefore, would be Christian. Secondly, while the churches in Kano, Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, Bauchi, and in the core northern areas were being persecuted, the place where Christians would have a haven was Jos. And so the Muslims are unhappy that Christians are having a haven in the city of Jos. So it is our understanding that they now want to destabilize this place where Christians are having a haven. Because in the whole of northern region, Jos is the only city that has a predominantly Christian settlement. But thirdly, the politics on the plateau is again affected by Christian principles. That is therefore creating an impediment, in our understanding, to the sweep of the Islamization of the North politically and therefore economically. So it is necessary, in our understanding, to destabilize Plateau as such. So the events have shown clearly that the Christian church is under severe attack, and anything that the Islamic world would do to destabilize, to strangulate, or even annihilate the church on the plateau, she would do. And we've seen the events in sequence.
Can these dry bones really rise again?
I personally have a feeling that the political class should go according to the Constitution. If they don't do that, they may throw us into a lot of problems in the country, a lot of problems. We see it hanging, we see people agitating, we see people saying they don't want what is happening. And of course there is this issue that the government believes that the Constitution has to be reviewed. Some aspects of it, all right. But when they are reviewing it with a particular agenda, it's what people have been kicking against. And not everybody is a Christian. We are all, there are so many Nigerians who do not think the way I'm thinking. And therefore some will pray and others will do what they know how to do, plan and do evil. So they are probably going to resist and to react. It's common with human beings. So that is the situation we are in now. I do not think that Nigerians believe in partitioning, but the way it's happening, it may just come naturally. If a group feels always oppressed, if another group feels always intimidated, along the line, unless it has a divine connotation, if it has not, then of course that is disaster. Maybe because of government inactivity, government's inability to protect the Christians. They have freedom of speech, freedom of living wherever I want, all these are in the Constitution, but nobody is enforcing them. And it looks like the Muslims become the law in the country. And this is a country where almost 64 to 65% are Christians, actually. So they say, why should we stay here and be ruled and dominated by a few? And why should we be subjected to the whims and caprices of Islam when Christ has set us free? So based on this, they won't take it. And I think if these people continue burning churches unprovoked, and then killing Christians unprovoked, well, they see it as a declaration of war. It started in 1987. I was secretary to Christians in the north at that time. And in Kaduna, just overnight, in about 10 cities, overnight they had burnt churches, killed as many people, when nobody was even thinking of it. And so Christians were wondering what it was all about. Some in the presence of the police, and the police could do nothing. They said they had no right, they've not been given order to do anything. And the same thing with the military. So we said, okay, if they won't protect us, we'll protect ourselves. So basically that's what is happening. It's very difficult to blame the average Nigerian Christian. September 11th. There are many Christians in the US. They didn't wait because it's a declaration of war. And if these people believe that we can't live, then we see it as we have to survive. God didn't create us create us so that they would destroy us as they want. We know that very well. This is our home. Where are we running to? I run to Britain, I become a foreigner. But I was brought up here. I mean, the pain of it is for another black man to be intimidating me, a black man. I won't accept that. I'm sorry. But that's how it is. So until the government is able to rise up properly and take its position, so long will this crisis continue. And so long will Christians continue to plan to resist. One thing, Christians never initiate a crisis, but they will continue to resist it.
Dear friends, do not be surprised at the painful trial you are suffering, as though something strange were happening. But rejoice that you participate in the sufferings of Christ, so that you may be overjoyed when his glory is revealed. The world today is facing a very great challenge. So as an organization, we work hard to provide information about all that has happened. We also provide opportunities for medical doctors to reach those who have been maimed. We also provide opportunities for lawyers who will be able to stand in the gap for those who have been ill-treated. We also provide opportunity for those in Parliament who will want to have the facts so that they can fabricate the laws to be able to cater for all these situations. So you have a role as an individual. It is up to you to locate what you need to do in this situation. And we will be there for you so that we will together collectively coordinate every need to reach every circumstance. And by that, we will provide the opportunity for the world to learn that it is wrong to behave in the way they are behaving today.